Okay, good morning everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is FAJRul Falah. I'm from the SMA Negeri Purbalingga as the first speakers for the propositions team. And I'm start my speech in three, two, one. Panels. Many countries need oil, many countries need gasoline, many countries need rare materials, but they could not fulfill it because it was owned by other regions, extract and sell highly. So by that, they just lost their right. They just lost their right to fulfill their needs. So prior to propose, first setup, how would the implementation would look like? International Materials Agency as the main management source, the critical resource will have capacity to the usings and extractions dominantly, where the agency should be created by an agreement that's started by all of the nations, i.e. regions around the world. First impact is this agency will limit and take over the process of extraction and distributions of all critical resource by maybe gain connections with several massive environmental resource regions such as Saudi Arabia or maybe Indonesia, also with the agency that is already managed, maybe it was a smaller and it was already doing that extraction in the resource per regions. This will lead to a total neutral status to all the country due to the dominant capacity of the International Materials Agency. Maybe the opposed will start that, oh, this International Materials Agency will be the god of everything. It will take over the world because it has the power that is so big that it can contain so many, maybe like dominant power towards all of the country. But this is a false assumption because we have the structures with. Firstly, it will contain or filled with people from each region in this world. Maybe it will contain the prime minister towards every region, or maybe the president itself, so that the agency will be so neutral and it will not be overwhelmed to maybe like several countries or maybe like a special country. No, it will be total neutral. And the second, how was the status quo? These nowadays countries that have the critical resource will totally border another country to claim their resource, or in several conditions they will make like some sort of connections to an advanced country to take over the extractions. Like the example is reported in Indonesia, but this cycles tend or leads to overclaim shortage and trade conflicts in the society where each country should have their own capability on a different aspect and level. This variable will be disaster. Why? Because of course every countries have their has their level, has the different capability and ambition to grow more, to be dominant, to but their resource maybe isn't enough, so they need to buy it from another country, and all of this structure was just unfair because countries would stand and grow in the place that they couldn't choose. Brazil couldn't stand in Indonesia, and Indonesia also cannot stand in Brazil. And maybe the structure of like another country trying to extract a resource in a different country will be better because maybe England would manage gold in Papua better, or maybe Scotland could manage oil in Saudi better. But all of this structure was stuck because it was all just managed by the region itself per country. Indonesia just manage all the other stuff, and even if the regions have the technologies and capability to the extraction, other regions economically conditioned, for example, will still be overlapped, will still be downgrade by other country that have the capacity to do that, because it was all just by egoistically just dominantly by the country itself that stand in that ground. And how is the manifestation? International Materials Agency existence will end the war. Why we say that? It will gonna end the conflict because it will make every region just the same equally, because they didn't have a special power in this context. They didn't have the special power to dominate other country because it was all just the same. It was all managed by one agency that have the policy. Of course it will have it will have the policy to have their own power to manage all of the critical resource so that it will be more sustainable and stable. And now we're going to jump up into my argument first. This world will be more neutral and stabilized. Panels, we all know that on extraction of critical resource, we usually that usually overdone by several countries, and they usually use that power as a willing to be dominant. Maybe the opposed space will will insult us for being over dramatic, because we're just talking about war, conflict, and etc. Not we're, because we're all not in the war. We're still living greatly, and I still follow this debate just with a good condition. But stop, and they will ask us to stop being dramatic. But notice panel, this assumption was totally miserable because even right now there are so many headlines about war edge side to side with the headline of the critical resource that happens in this world right now. And why could that be happen? Because country overclaim this resource so much. As I stated before, countries will overclaim because they also will have the war, will have the willing to just be dominant, because they said that it was all mine. Saudi said that the oil was all mine. Iran said that the oil was all mine because it was found in my ground. And that kind of structures were false, highly false, because the earth was belong to everyone. The earth was belong to all of the region that sat in the ground. It was not be like being presented to each country. No, it's not. It was belong to everyone. Even there are so many campaign that started to be wisely handle um, the critical resource, but that kind of statement just started not being well done, because the policy itself is nowadays were already a false, because there should be an agency that manage all of the critical research, and the opposed should make the structural solution better than this, because this structure will create a healthy hierarchy towards all of the regions inside the part of the agency, so that the critical resource will not be over extract. So that's all for me. Proud to propose.